Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another Tech Gear Talk video. Today I want to check out an awesome camera slider from Cinevate called the Duzi 4. Now, one of the best ways to add interest and style to your videos is to add camera movement. There are different ways to do this now, ranging from gimbals to drones, but even with all this new technology, most of us still include a nice camera slider as part of our everyday kit. I recently started using the Duzi 4 from Cinevate, and I wanted to share with you some features that I really like about this slider. As the name suggests, this is the fourth iteration in the Duzi line of sliders, and I really like the design of this slider. It still uses 15mm solid carbon rails that are extremely strong and are the foundation of a solid base. The base itself is a little bit wider than the previous version, which adds stability, especially when you're using a larger rig. The Duzi 4 comes with adjustable feet, which let you level the slider when you're using it on slightly uneven surfaces. All you have to do is twist them until you get a solid base. But the most exciting feature about the Duzi 4 is the integrated flywheel system. In case you're not sure why you'd want a flywheel on a slider, let me spend a few minutes on it and also about this particular implementation from Cinevate. When we use a slider, the objective is to get smooth and consistent camera movement. Assuming that you're using a nice slider, the camera should be able to travel smoothly across the tracks. But the consistent part is a little bit harder to achieve. And the reason is that as you're pushing the cart from one side to the other across the rails, there are slight variations in the amount of force that you're applying to the cart. And those variations can cause the cart to accelerate and decelerate slightly throughout the slide. And now, instead of getting motion at a consistent speed, it's a little jerky because the camera speeds up and slows down slightly throughout this entire movement. You may not notice this when you're shooting or even when you're previewing the video in your camera, but trust me, you're going to notice it when you start editing. With that in mind, the aluminum flywheel on the Duzi 4 helps in several ways. First, it adds a little more weight to the carriage, which is particularly important when you're using a small camera. It's much harder to push a light object at a consistent speed because even slight variations in the amount of force that you're applying can have a large impact. In addition to adding mass, the flywheel harnesses the energy that you're applying to the cart and then helps you apply it in a way that's much more evenly dispersed. You can see that even if I just apply a little bit of force, there is enough momentum being built in a flywheel to help the cart move at a consistent speed. This type of inertial dampening is critical, especially when you're starting and stopping the slide. You'll see that once I get the carriage moving and then let it go, it will gradually slow down instead of coming to an abrupt stop. Now that you're hopefully sold on the flywheel in general, let's look at this particular design. What I really like about Cinevate's implementation is that they are able to achieve this with no belts. I've seen other sliders that use flywheels and they have it built right into the slider, but they always use belts that connect the carriage to the flywheel itself. And sometimes it's a module that you can add on and take off. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that design. But what Cinevate did with the Duzi 4 is they integrated the flywheel right into the cart design itself, which is a very elegant solution and helps you keep things simple. You don't have to worry about the belt or any additional setup, you're always just ready to go. The flywheel lets you do something else that's super cool, which is a hands-free slide. You can simply elevate one side of the slider. I'm just gonna use some extra batteries that I have around. Then I just move the cart to this side, let it go, and the flywheel will do the rest for me. And what's nice about that is that we've completely removed any fluctuations that we may introduce by applying variable force to the cart itself. And that essentially guarantees a perfect slide every time. I wanted to mention that if for some reason you want to remove the flywheel, it's just one screw at the bottom, so it takes you like 2 seconds to do it. In addition to the adjustable feet, Cinevate also offers all-terrain legs, which are great if you plan on using this on uneven ground or in grass, or you just want to raise it a little bit, or even if you just want to widen the base because you're using a very heavy rig with a large lens. Now, originally I didn't think I would want those legs because I usually use the slider on a flat surface or mounted, but now I'm kind of second guessing that. What's really nice about this version of the all-terrain legs is that you don't have to remove them. They simply fold onto each other and then you can keep them mounted on and still easily fit the slider in a bag. Now, speaking of mounting, there are several ways that you can mount the Duzi 4. First, you can attach it directly to your tripod using a ball. Just thread the ball directly to your mounting plate and then attach it to your tripod. And now you can level the slider using the bubble level. I really like this method because it's super solid since the entire top of the ball is against the mounting plate. Another option is to use a quick release plate and then mount the slider onto a fluid head. If you choose to go that route, I would recommend that you use a longer plate and then use 2 screws and attach them to the mounting plate in 2 different locations. And that way you'll get a much sturdier connection. If you choose to mount the slider to a large fluid head, it adds some other interesting angles that you can achieve, but I also want you to remember that you are adding some potential flex points because the fluid head itself could introduce just a little bit of movement. Now, finally, if you don't want to use a single point of mounting and you'd rather distribute the weight, what you can do is use 2 C-stands or light stands. This is a feature that was an upgrade on some older Cinevate sliders, but now it's part of every Duzi 4. You can put the slider right on the light stands and then tighten it in place, and now the weight of the slider and the rig is evenly supported from both sides. Overall, the Duzi 4 is an awesome slider. It really is a pleasure to work with. It's light, but provides exceptionally smooth movements. The integrated flywheel is killer and is what ultimately sold me on the Duzi 4. If you've used sliders before, or even if you haven't, I'm super confident that you're gonna get smooth, consistent shots using this slider. It comes in 24 and 32 inches, and there are a variety of accessories that you can add, like the all-terrain legs, motion control for time-lapse, an extension arm called the grip reacher, and a carrying case. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and then crush that subscribe button. If you have any questions about the Duzi 4, put them in the comment section below. I do my best to answer every question. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tech Gear Talk. See you soon.